Hello, I'm Rob Phillips. Welcome to my channel where I help people improve their lives with a smart, accessible approach to yoga and meditation. So for today, we're going to be doing a 20-minute practice that I've called Wake Up with Yin Yoga. So normally we tend to think of Yin Yoga as being kind of a wind-down practice, something we might do in the evening or right before we go to bed. But I personally love doing Yin Yoga first thing in the morning as a way to kind of stretch the body, as a way to open things up. With that said, there might be a little more movement and a little bit more activity than many of my Yin Yoga practices, but still we'll have the long holds and the ability to get in nice and deep. And hopefully if you're doing this in the morning, or really anytime you want to kind of pick yourself up, you'll be left feeling just right. So as always, if you have any thoughts or questions about the video, do let me know in the comments. If you enjoy this video, please consider giving me a like and please consider subscribing to my channel because I'll be coming out with more Yin Yoga practices like this each and every week. Once we're ready to go here, you'll probably notice I'm up here and standing, which is unusual for Yin Yoga, but that's how we're going to start today. So find your way into a standing position, but have your feet maybe a little bit wider than the hips, and actually allow for a nice soft bend at the knees. So I'm kind of doing this instinctively, but I'd like you to do this too. Start to sway your arms and start to move a little bit here. You can close your eyes if you'd like and just kind of feel the weight of the feet on the floor. You can shift your weight a little bit side to side. Just getting a sense of your bearings. Before we get into our first pose, we're going to come into what's actually a Qigong move. It's called ringing the temple gong. And so from here, you're going to bend the knees maybe a little bit more so there's a little bit of crease in the hips and your arms should feel nice and heavy. From here, we're going to start to sway the arm side to side, pivoting at our pelvis. So you'll notice my arms kind of lightly tap onto my legs, onto my hips here. That's why this pose is called ringing the temple gong, or I think sometimes ringing the temple bell. So with the knees softly bent, you're just getting a little bit of blood flowing, a little bit of movement to help wake you up, which hopefully early in the morning or whenever you're doing this feels just quite nice. Not losing track of tuning in, not losing track of noticing the body, noticing the breath, and all of that. So feel that here for a few more cycles, back and forth. Just nice, easy movements. Start to wind this in a little bit. So come back to standing again. My feet are a little bit wider than the hips. From here, we're going to take a gentle inhale, reaching the arms high. And then as we exhale, you can kind of join your hands through center as you pivot to fold down. And knees are very much bent here. So grab a hold of your elbows. Let the spine round. Let yourself dangle as you hang out here. So this is our first proper pose for today. And you'll notice because this is a shorter practice, the holds might be a little bit shorter than you're used to. And forgive me setting my clock here so I get the time right. There we go. And so with your arms kind of hanging here, you should feel a nice release onto the back of the body. Maybe a little bit of release onto the back of the hamstrings. This should not feel strenuous. This should not feel intense. Remembering for any Yin Yoga pose, the level of sensation should be light to moderate at most. If things flare up, if things become intense, you can always back out. But otherwise, really letting yourself relax. And I know maybe first thing in the morning, this might feel like a bit much for the body, but like everything we do here, these poses are beneficial. These poses are putting gentle stress on the tissues. I promise when all is said and done here, we'll appreciate the benefits of what we've been doing. Let's take just a final complete breath right here where we are. Now lower your fingertips onto the floor and lift your chest up a little bit. And you might need to separate your feet even wider. I'm noticing that I do. I'm going to drop my hips down low to come into a squat position. Now, I know that low squat may not be in the cards for all practitioners, so you have options. If you want, you could slide a blanket under the heels. If they have trouble getting to the floor, you could park your butt onto a block or two. You could even kneel over a block or two if that feels like more comfortable. If this is feeling okay, again, these are going to be shorter holds. You can try joining your hands in front of the heart. Close your eyes. You should feel nothing in your knees as you do this. If you feel like you're dropping down too low, remember you can come up a little bit higher here. Find an expression that feels sustainable for another minute or so. Let yourself relax here. Let yourself settle here. And take a few nice deep breaths. Starting to find that sense of attention, starting to find that sense of awareness that we'll carry with us through the rest of our day. Let's take one more complete breath right here. Now, again, you're going to slowly press the legs straight and come back into that dangle, that forward fold position. Legs are straighter, but they can still have a bit of a bend to them. Grab your elbows, consider swaying a little side to side, a little bit of easy movement for a few moments. But mostly hanging out here, mostly settling here, getting that nice sense of release. Take a final deep inhale breath right here. As you exhale, we're going to come down all the way onto our butt. So kind of a fun transition is to do that through your squat. And sit down on the floor, extend the legs out in front of you like this. Give them a little bit of a shake, a little bit of a release if you'd like. So here, now getting more into kind of our typical yin yoga poses, we're going to come into a butterfly shape. So if you want to, you can grab a blanket, park under the butt, lift the hips high, and lift the hips up on it. Take the feet together and make a wide kind of diamond shape. And then with that set up here, take an inhale breath to extend. Use your exhale breath to ease forwards just to that very light edge. Closing your eyes and really settling here. So if you've taken any of my other classes, you'll know it's pretty unusual to come into standing at all in yin. I don't think I've done any on my YouTube channel. I rarely do in my in-person classes too. But for this special kind of morning-focused class, I thought that was a nice way to stimulate some energy. So even as you settle into this forward fold, that's going to be quite a bit more calm, quite a bit more stable. Maybe you feel some of the afterglow of that more energetic part of our sequence. Again, even though we're relaxing, even though we're settling here, we're trying not to drop the energy too low. We're trying to keep a certain sense of vibrance in both the body and the mind. But still, letting go of physical tightness in the body, still really relaxing, still really settling into your shape. Again, most important, I think, is establishing that sense of awareness, establishing that sense of connection that we'll be carrying through with us for the rest of the day ahead. Let's take just a few more slow breaths right here. Truly letting go, truly relaxing, and settling into this gentle forward fold. Final complete breath right here where you are. Slowly rolling up and away from the floor. You can roll the shoulders, you can roll your back out a little bit. To extend our legs and get a little bit of movement there, get a little bit of release happening there too. So from here, in transition, let's take just a very brief pause, really just a few breaths, but come into a child's pose. Sit the hips back. Let yourself relax, let yourself land there. Take a deep inhale breath through your nose and a big exhale breath out your mouth. And from here, we're going to set up for our dragon pose, our low lunge shape. So I'm going to recommend grabbing a hold of a blanket, setting it up kind of 3/4 near the back of your mat. And let's start by stepping our left foot up near the front of the mat. And I'm going to recommend having both hands on the inside edge of the foot for an inside dragon, as I'm doing here. Now, this is definitely optional, but if you have access to yoga blocks and you want to rest your hands there, if you want to come down to the elbows, certainly feel free to do so. And so remembering for dragon, you want to regulate the length here. The longer you get, the more you'll feel the effects of the pose. This pose definitely has a bit of energy to it. You want to be working a little bit, but still the overall intention is to relax, is to settle. And as you relax, as you settle, notice what that feels like. What are you holding on to that you could let go of? What could you release in both the body and the mind? Really establishing kind of a clean slate for the day yet to come, or whatever you have going on after this practice. Just a few more slow breaths. Just a few more moments right here. Take your final complete breath here as you are. Slowly take that left leg back, move it around, let it release a little bit. Take just a very short child's pose, 3 or 4 breaths. Quick reset between our two sides. And as you're ready to here, let's step up our right foot. So right foot comes somewhere near the edge of your mat. And both hands inside here for that kind of lower inside dragon. Like I said on Verside, you can come down to the elbows. You could use blocks for that if you'd like. Do ensure that you're not compressing that back kneecap. You can slide your weight a little here and there as you might like to. And as you settle in, can you find just that sweet spot of effort? Just enough engagement while still very much letting go. Still very much surrendering into the pose. All the while noticing. All the while observing just what it's like for you to be here in this moment. And always letting go of anything extra. Notice the space and calm that remains as you let go. Again and again here. Now, here as you are, you'll take final complete breath. Slowly start to find your way out. And again, you might move, you might rock and roll, release in any way at all that feels right, that feels good for your body. Let's again take a short pause. Child's pose is a great place to be for this. You can go on your belly even if you'd like, really, wherever's comfortable. Take a few breaths. I'm going to come up. We have time for just a little bit of work in seated. So as you come up into your seat here, I'm going to do some wide-legged stuff. So I might recommend turning sideways. I'm stuck on my blanket here. There we go. I might recommend turning sideways on your mat and maybe sitting up on a blanket just so there's some lift beneath the hips. So extend your legs as wide as feels comfortable. And remember, if you have tighter legs, you may need to lift the hips higher. You may need to add some reinforcement under the bend of the knees here. So you're welcome and encouraged to do that if you find that beneficial. Once you've got yourself in here, what you're going to do is rest your left hand somewhere on the left leg. Take a little turn over to the right. And then from here, what you'll do is take your right hand up to the ceiling, reach it up, over, and across, and come into a bit of a side stretch. So this pose certainly has a little bit of energy behind it, but you're still pretty relaxed. This is not meant to be this huge, dramatic stretch, and we're only going to be here really for 1 minute. But feel your way into it. Find just that tiny threshold of effort. Relax any unnecessary tension or gripping that you're holding on to. And find that sense of presence. Find that sense of connection right here where you already are. Take a final complete breath right here. Slowly roll your way up. And once you're up here, you can do maybe a little reset of the shoulders, the neck, and the upper back. And of course, we'll want to do the second half. So you can take your left hand onto the hip, rest your right hand somewhere onto the thigh. And then from here, take your left arm up and over. This is a semi-active pose. It's got a little bit more energy than what we would typically consider a yin yoga shape. But we're only going to be here for 1 minute or so that's totally okay. And I think totally okay in this context here. Still relaxing, still letting go beyond that necessary effort that you may have found. Still aware, present, and connected here in your body. Take a final complete breath here. And now slowly you can roll yourself up. And again, you might do a little roll for the shoulders, for the upper back, and all of that. From here now, let's take a gentle inhale breath, lengthen, and exhale to ease any amount forwards into a fold here. No rush to get to the floor. Just feeling some amount of release onto the back of the legs. Making sure there's no tightness or tension in the spine. Truly establishing that sense of presence. Truly establishing that sense of connection right here as you are. Letting go of anything at all extra that you're holding on to in either the body or the mind. Let's take a final complete breath right here. Slowly roll our way up. Relax the shoulders and the upper back. Relax the legs. And to end, let's take just a very brief meditation. Now, of course, if you have a little more time and you wanted to do a Shavasana, a little more traditional ending, you certainly could. But if you'd like to follow along with me, just close your eyes, find a nice upright, seated pose of your choice, and feel what you've opened up in your body through that relatively short practice. Again, yin yoga does not have to be a practice for the evening, does not have to be a practice of winding down. We can use it actually to draw energy into the body, to actually prepare us for the day ahead. Feel that energy for just a few more slow breaths here. Take final complete breath here as you are in simple seat. And let's close, as I always do, with a short offering of metta, loving kindness. So you can join the hands in front of the heart, but do keep your eyes closed. So I'm going to say just a few phrases, and if the meaning of these phrases creates a connection for you, consider repeating the phrase internally to deepen that connection. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings live with ease and freedom from suffering. And may we dedicate our practice for the benefit of all beings. And we bow. So thank you so very much, as always, for joining me for this practice. And of course, if you have thoughts or questions, let me know in the comments down below. And in particular, do let me know if you enjoyed this as a yin yoga practice for the morning. Finally, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more just like it, consider subscribing to my channel because I'll be coming out with new yoga practices each and every week. And if you'd like to continue your practice, you might consider trying this guided meditation right over here.